What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90, and it is time for the Premier League Week 27 predictions. And there was a chance last week for Arsenal to really get their hands on a potential title charge, and then it all came crashing down. Arsenal losing to West Ham like they did last season to throw away the title, and Liverpool, as expected, beating Manchester City. Real quick, more than half of you watching this video aren't actually subscribed to the channel, and we're getting very, very close to 32,000 subscribers. So if you like your Premier League, Champions League, La Liga, Serie A and Bundesliga predictions, then be sure to subscribe down below to make sure you keep up to date with the videos. And here are the winning accumulators we had since the last Premier League video. We've also got 5 out of 22 tipped correct scores, which I think is pretty good. I mean, if it's 22 units per one, there's profit here if you just back each score I post on the Patreon. We've got goal trebles, La Liga away days, winners treble, both teams to score, home comforts, more goals, and flashed up on the screen are all of the people that are supporting me over on the Patreon and have been since we started doing that. If you want to get exclusive members tips and accumulators, direct messaging access to me, and a shout out in every single video like you're seeing on the screen, then be sure to click that top link in the description to head over to the Full 90 Patreon. I really, really do appreciate all of the support that you guys are showing me and everything like that. But also up here are the people that have joined here on YouTube, and clicking the join button down below, joining the members club. You get the same tips that you do on the Patreon, but you don't have access to direct messaging and group chats because YouTube don't have that feature. You used to be able to direct message on YouTube like over 10 years ago, but now you can't. So I would recommend going to the Patreon, but either one is great. I really, really do appreciate it. Now, kicking it off with the Premier League fixtures. As I said, obviously, I mean, last week, I originally predicted a 1-1 draw between Arsenal and West Ham, and I thought, oh, you know what? I just don't see Arsenal doing it. And then, lo and behold, they ended up losing. And of course, we tipped Liverpool to score twice against Man City, and that to be enough to get the win. We also had Everton draw no bet against Man United, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure they handled the VAR at the end quite well enough. I think if you've ever watched cricket, they have something called umpire's call, and it's essentially where if it's almost 50-50 with the evidence provided, I mean, cricket is a lot more black and white, but if it's 50-50 or not a clear and obvious error, they will side with the on-field decision. So in this case, given that the referee saw it real time and gave a penalty, it's not clear and obvious, you can't see anything particularly wrong, it should still be a penalty. Similarly, for the exact same scenario, had the referee not given a penalty, it would then not be a penalty, and it would be called referee's call. I think that's a much better way to do it. But there was an angle of the shirt pulling from both De Ligt and Maguire from within the goal that they never even showed the referee. They showed, first of all, a side-on angle that everyone sees at home that didn't show the extent of the contact at all. And then they showed another angle from behind the goal that wasn't quite what the camera from within the goal showed. And I feel like the referee wasn't well informed. I think it was, I guess you could say it was soft, but there was enough, I would say, contact to side with the on-field decision. If Everton get that, they get the win, and, you know, the tip is hunky-dory. But nevertheless, that's enough about VAR. I do think there needs to be an element of referee's call, and that means that the referee is not null and void. You know, you can't have VAR decide everything like that, so you should then, in that scenario, side with the referee. In my opinion, it wasn't clear and obvious, but I digress. It is what it is. Let's get kicked off with a South Coast derby. It's Brighton up against Bournemouth. Now, I thought I was being a bit out there last week, tipping Bournemouth to drop points against Wolves, but in the end, it actually happened, and Bournemouth lost. I did think Bournemouth would at least score, but the red card, that did have implications there. And Brighton, they ended up beating Southampton. I didn't think it would be as comprehensive as 4-0, but we did say they would win away from home. So I think this is actually the perfect time for Brighton to play Bournemouth, and I think maybe now the injuries for Bournemouth are starting to catch up with them. So I'm going to go for a Brighton win. I'm going to say Brighton to win 2-1, and the tip is Brighton to win at 2.05. I hope Bournemouth, all I hope for this season, as I've said in previous videos, is that Bournemouth make Conference League. And with the amount of, you know, teams progressing in the Champions League and Europa League and Conference League, I do think that there's going to be 5 Champions League places for the Premier League. And then, of course, there's 2 Europa League. There's a Conference League. We might have FA Cup winners in the top half. We might have Europa League winners in the, you know, out of the top half. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just hope Bournemouth make Conference League. I think this might be a step too far for them. Brighton 2-1, Brighton to win at 2.05. After this, it is Crystal Palace up against Aston Villa. Crystal Palace got a brilliant away win at Craven Cottage. I'll be honest, I didn't see that coming. And Aston Villa beat Chelsea with both teams to score. I did see that coming. I think Aston Villa are just going to shade this. I'm going to say 2-1 win to Villa, but right off Crystal Palace at your own peril. My tip is it's not quite the highest value of the week, but it's close. I'm going to go for Aston Villa double chance and both teams to score at 2.5. I really, really like that. After this, we travel to Molineux for Wolves up against Fulham. Fulham not even scoring against Crystal Palace. Wolves winning 2-0 against Bournemouth. They're now 5 points clear of the relegation zone. It looks all but done, doesn't it? I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a draw. Wolves 1, Fulham 1. The tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.75. After this, it is Chelsea up against Southampton. I don't really want to spend too long on this one. I think this is going to be an absolute battering. Chelsea are going to win this one. I'm going 4-0, and the tip is Chelsea halftime, full-time at 1.66. Following that, we have Brentford up against Everton. Everton dropping points, I guess you could say, against Manchester United, and Brentford beating Leicester 4-0 away from home. We had Brentford to win at 2.05 there, which was really, really good because I was tossed up between that and both teams to score over 2.5 goals, and I went for the Brentford win, and it was good because it was a Brentford win to 0. I think this is actually going to be a draw. Everton are in really, really good form. It's hard to look past them. Brentford finally stringing some wins together, which they hadn't done all season until recently. So I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw. And the tip again, at the same odds, is going to be both teams to score at 1.75. After this, we travel to Old Trafford for Manchester United up against Ipswich. Ipswich, we had our highest tip last week come in because we tipped Tottenham to win and both teams to score at 3.25. Ipswich did score. Tottenham did win. Man United, I think they were lucky to get a point from Everton, but they did. So I'm going to go for Manchester United to win this one. I'm going to say 2-1. And the tip, it just is going to be Man United to win at 1.53. You could put that in a little accumulator. I thought about Man United and both teams to score, but I just don't know. I find Man United quite tricky to predict, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. After this, it's a massive game. It's Nottingham Forest up against Arsenal. We all know the title's done now, right? Like, it just is. And I think that blow, psychologically, is going to hit Arsenal here. And also, Arsenal have Champions League to focus on. They know they're not going to win the league. They can't win anything else. So Champions League has got to be their focus. They're going to get top 4. Nottingham Forest are a very good side. They're the only team to beat Liverpool this year in the league. Obviously, Liverpool lost to PSV when it didn't really matter when they were top of the league. But I think Forest get something from Arsenal here. I think it'll be high scoring. Forest came off a 4-3 loss against Newcastle. So I think they can get goals. To be honest, where did the goals for Arsenal come from? I've originally put 2-2, but do Arsenal score 2 goals? I don't even see it. You know what? I'm just going to say 2-1 to Forest. We'll change it. 2-1 to Forest. The tip is going to be Nottingham Forest double chance at 1.9. I had a gut feeling about Arsenal dropping points to West Ham. I've got that same gut feeling here. And when I had that gut feeling, I originally thought it'd be a draw last time out. This time I originally thought it'd be a draw. So I'm going to change it to a loss. Nottingham Forest 2, Arsenal 1. Forest double chance at 1.9. I like that. I like that quite a lot. I don't like the result as an Arsenal fan, but I think it's fairly decent value. After this, it is Tottenham up against Manchester City. Man City really struggling against the big 6 teams in the league, and I think they're actually going to bounce back here. You know, they had a lot of shots against Liverpool, tons of possession, but Liverpool just outplayed them. Like, I just think Man City aren't quite on it, but they have enough to beat Tottenham. Even though Tottenham scored 4 last week, 1-4-1. Man City are going to win this one. I'm going to say Man City to win 3-1. And the tip is going to be Man City to win at 1.95. Double your money. I thought about Man City and both teams to score, but then I take my mind back to Man City beating Newcastle 4-0 when I thought it would be Man City and both teams to score. And you never know with Tottenham. But I do think they're going to get beaten quite comfortably here. So I'm going to go 3-1 to Man City. Man City to win at 1.95. Now, it is time for the biggest value tip of the week. Liverpool up against Newcastle. Liverpool just going from strength to strength. Mohamed Salah, I mean, what a phenomenal season he's having. He's not had any injuries in previous years like he's not had AFCON or anything like that. He's just been playing week in, week out, scoring week in, week out, assisting week in, week out, it seems as well. He's just an absolute machine. And I think Liverpool at Anfield do get the win here. Newcastle, just blitzed Nottingham Forest in that first half, winning 4-3 in the end, just surviving a little bit of a scare there. I think they can get on the score sheet, which says a lot about Newcastle because Liverpool, they're playing really, really well. But I'm going to go for Liverpool to win 2-1, and the tip is Liverpool and both teams to score at 2.62. And that kind of ends their very difficult run in the Premier League, beating, obviously, Man City, beating Newcastle. They still have to play Arsenal, but what does it matter? Even if Arsenal win, they're just not going to catch up. So Liverpool to win 2-1, Liverpool and both teams to score at 2.62. And finally, Thursday night, we have West Ham up against Leicester, and I think West Ham are going to win this one. I'm going goals galore. I'm going mental. I'm thinking Man United Leicester from a few months ago. I'm thinking that kind of fixture. I'm going to say West Ham win this one 3-2. The tip is going to be West Ham to win at 1.61. I thought about West Ham and both teams to score, but can you rely on Leicester? No, you can't. But I do think West Ham will win this, and I'm going to go for that 3-2. West Ham to win at 1.61. So in terms of upsets here this week, in terms of the odds, the only real outright upset I'm going for is Nottingham Forest to beat Arsenal. I just think it's a real double whammy for Arsenal losing to West Ham and Liverpool beating City. But hey, maybe they can start getting the squad back to fitness. If they can get past PSV in the Champions League, which will not be easy, they'll have a very tough run to the final quarters, semis, and then the final. There's no easy fixture for Arsenal in the Champions League, but that's what they got to focus on. So yeah, I'm going for them to lose to Nottingham Forest this week. But that is going to do it for this video. Let me know your predictions down in the comments. Do you see any other upsets? Do you think Southampton gets something from Chelsea? Do you think Bournemouth beat Brighton away? Do you think Ipswich gets something from Man United? It could all happen. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe while you're down there, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.